On the eve of the college entrance exam, my childhood friend asked me to give him my application account and password. He said, "Xia Can, with your current grades, you can barely get into a private junior college. Give me your account and password, and after the exam, I'll enroll you in the same junior college as us." In my previous life, I gave in to my soft heart. I thought Zhou Yang was just reluctant for the three of us to part ways. I thought when Luiran cried and said she wanted to be friends with me for a lifetime, she truly considered me a friend, so I gave my college application account to Zhou Yang. On the day of the college entrance exam, he took my admission ticket for safekeeping, claiming he was afraid I might lose it. On the morning of the first exam, I watched helplessly as he tore up my admission ticket and stuffed it into a trash bin by the roadside. I rushed forward frantically to grab it back, but Luiran stopped me, crying, Can, Zhou Yang did this for your own good. You're so talented. It's fine if you retake a year, but I only have this one chance." That year, I missed the Chinese exam. Later, Zhou Yang used my account to change my college application to the same private junior college as Luiran. My parents were frantic, trying to appeal for a review, wanting to report it to the police, trying to reclaim my future, but Zhou Yang and Luiran had already prepared everything. They said it was me who didn't want to take the college entrance exam and wanted to go to a junior college with my friend. The classmates who were just watching the scene also said that I was close to them, claiming that I usually revolved around Zhou Yang. They dragged me into the mud. Year later, when I was retaking my studies, my mental state collapsed and my grades plummeted. My parents also lost most of their savings because they had partnered with the Zhou family to open a store, only to be cheated by them. I found the chat records between Zhou Yang and Lu Iran from years ago, and went to confront them with the evidence. During the argument, Zhou Yang grabbed my phone. Luiran screamed from the side, "Don't let her send the chat records, she wants to ruin us." The stairwell was in chaos. Zhou Yang shoved me, and the back of my head slammed into a concrete step. As I was dying, I heard Zhou Yang panic and say, "It wasn't me, she just lost her balance." Luiran cried and echoed, Can, why do you always push us like this?" When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the days before the college entrance exam. Zhou Yang was standing in front of my desk, reaching out her hand toward me. "Xia-chan, give me your account and password for college applications later. After the gaokao, I'll help you fill out your college application." I looked at his self-assured face and smiled. "In this life, whoever dares to mess with my gaokao, I'll personally send them to jail." 1. I was deeply engrossed in solving the problems when I heard Zhou Yang's words, and my pen paused on the draft paper. The suffocation and pain from my previous life still lingered in my mind. I could even recall the moment my admission ticket was torn apart, the white paper with black characters scattering in the wind. But now, my admission ticket was safely tucked away in the inner pocket of my school bag. Only I know my account password. I looked up and asked him, "Why should I give you my account password? And why should I let you help me with my college application?" Zhou Yang frowned. He probably didn't expect me to respond with a question like that. After all, in the past, whenever he spoke up, I would always give in. He said matter-of-factly, "Iran's grades can only get her into a private vocational college. I've discussed it with her, and we'll see which school she can apply to. We'll sign you up for one too while we're at it. The three of us grew up together, and going to a junior college is fine too." I almost laughed out loud from being so annoyed. What does it have to do with me that she goes to a junior college? Why should I accompany her? Zhou Yang's face showed impatience. "Xia Can, you have good grades, where can't you study?" "It's still different, she has poor grades and doesn't have many school options. She just wants to be with us. What's wrong with you giving in to her once? Didn't I also lower my own choices to stay with her?" He spoke with such frankness, as if sacrificing my life were the most natural thing in the world. I set down my pen, not loudly, but enough for the few people around me to hear. "Zhou Yang, I am the top student in the entire school. Even the teachers say I have a chance to rank in the top 10 in the province, and you want me to give up Tsinghua and Peking University to accompany Luiran to a private vocational college. You like her and are willing to do anything for her. That's your freedom, but I don't like her, and I owe her nothing. If you too want to go to a junior college, go on your own. Don't drag me down with you." Some classmates nearby turned their heads. Zhou Yang's expression turned grim. Luiran also entered through the back door, her eyes immediately reddening. Can, please don't say that. It's all my fault. My grades are too poor, which is why Zhou Yang is in a difficult position. I just wanted so badly to be with you all. I thought friendship was more important than school, but I forgot. Not everyone values relationships as much as I do." How familiar these Word sound, in my past life, I was fooled by this pitiful act of hers. I thought she was truly insecure, truly reluctant to let me go. It wasn't until right before her death that I realized she had been jealous of me all along, jealous of my good grades, jealous that teachers liked me, jealous that Zhou Yang had known me longer since childhood. She wanted to drag me down into the same mire of despair as her. That way, she wouldn't seem so much like a failure. I looked at her and said calmly, "Of course you value friendship. After all, your grades are already as bad as they can get. Besides playing the emotional card, you don't have any other cards to play." Louis Ran's expression froze. Zhou Yang immediately became furious. "Xia Can, don't go too far with your words." I turned on my phone's voice recorder and placed it on the table. "Me, excessive. You forced me to hand over my college entrance examination application account to you, forcing me to give up a good school and go to a private junior college with Louis Ran. If the teacher and parents find out about this, who do you think they'll think went too far?" Zhou Yang's expression changed. Louis Ran's tears also stopped. She instinctively looked at my phone. I smiled. "No need to look, it's already recorded. Before you try to emotionally blackmail me again, think about whether what you're saying can stand the light of day." The two finally fell silent. The looks from the surrounding classmates also changed. Someone muttered quietly, "Letting the top student in the school go to a junior college with the bottom one. That logic is just absurd. What kind of friend is this? They can't stand anyone else doing well." Zhou Yang glared at me, gritting her teeth. Louis Ran, with red eyes, whispered, Can, how have you become so terrifying now?" I picked up my pen and continued working on the problems. Being a bit terrifying to bad people is to protect oneself, too. After that day, Zhou Yang and Louis Ran quieted down for a couple of days. On the surface, they didn't ask me for my account password anymore, but I know they won't let it go at that. Before they tore my admission ticket in the previous life, they also pretended to be peaceful for a few days, so this time, I didn't give them any chance from the very beginning. I gave the original copy of my exam admission ticket to my parents for safekeeping. I only kept photocopies in my own backpack. I made a full 50 copies of it, one in the backpack compartment, one in the stationery pouch, one in the coat pocket, and one hidden under the insole. I even sent an electronic copy to the homeroom teacher, asking her to keep a copy for me. After reading my message, the homeroom teacher specifically called me to her office. "Xia Can, why did you suddenly make so many copies of your admission ticket?" I didn't beat around the bush. I played the recording for her directly. Inside, Zhou Yang's line, "So what if you lower your score to stay with me?" was painfully clear. The homeroom teacher's face immediately darkened. "Did they really say that?" I added. "Teacher, I'm not sure if they'll do something worse, but the college entrance exam is very important to me. I can't take any risks." The homeroom teacher was silent for a few seconds, then said seriously, "You did the right thing. You don't need to go with any classmates on the day of the exam. Your parents will take you, or I can arrange for a teacher to meet you at the entrance of the test center." I nodded. "Thank you, teacher." Walking out of the office, I happened to run into Zhou Yang. He stared at the voice recorder in my hand and sneered. "Xia Can, you actually went and reported the teacher?" I looked up at him. "What, do you realize that what you said is too shameful to be heard?" His face darkened. "I was just joking with you. Do you have to take it so seriously?" I replied directly, mocking someone else's college entrance exam application choices. "Zhou Yang, you're quite despicable." He wanted to lose his temper. Louis Ran immediately grabbed his arm and said softly, "Zhou Yang, let it go. Can is on guard against us now. Whatever we say won't make a difference." She finished speaking and then looked at me again, her voice soft. Can, I know you have good grades and the confidence to look down on us, but I really didn't mean to harm you. I'm just really envious of you." I didn't respond to her anymore. Envy is not a reason to hurt others. If someone blames their own failure on someone else's excellence, they will never be able to stand up in life. 3. A few days later, my exam papers started having issues. Every time I handed them in, they were fine, but when they were returned, they had extra creases, ink stains, footprints, and even vicious profanity. In my previous life, I was afraid of making a big deal out of it and worried it would affect my final review, so I endured it until the college entrance exam. In this life, when I received the first ruined exam paper, I went straight to the office. The homeroom teacher was grading papers. I placed the paper in front of her. "Teacher, I would like to request to review the surveillance footage from when the exam papers were distributed and collected." The homeroom teacher saw the dirty words on the test paper and frowned deeply. "Who did this?" "Not sure." I looked at her and said calmly, "But I won't accept it happening a second time." The homeroom teacher immediately called in the class representative and several students responsible for distributing and collecting test papers. The surveillance footage from the back door of the classroom was quickly retrieved. In the footage, Zhou Yang took advantage of the break after evening self-study, opened my test paper, made a few marks on it with a pen, and then splattered ink on it. He moved with great skill. Lu Yiran stood beside him, helping him check the wind direction. The evidence was right before his eyes, yet Zhou Yang still tried to argue. I was just joking with her, I countered. What if I tear up your admission ticket for fun? Do you think that's okay? His face instantly darkened. Lu Yiran whispered, Can, we didn't mean to affect your college entrance exam. I picked up the paper and pointed at the insulting words written on it. Is this what you call, not intentional? Then what counts as intentional? Wait until my grades drop, then you'll clap and say I deserved it. The office fell silent. The homeroom teacher immediately gave Zhou Yang and Lu Yiran disciplinary action and demanded they apologize in person. Zhou Yang held her head high, refusing. I won't apologize. I'm not going to indulge him either. Sure, then I'll submit both the surveillance footage and the exam papers to the grade-level director. Whether you're willing to apologize or not won't stop me from pursuing this further. Finally, Zhou Yang gritted his teeth and said, I'm sorry. Lu Yiran bowed to me in tears. I didn't say it was okay. I just saved the recording and backed it up to the cloud drive right in front of them. Zhou Yang's eyes were cold and menacing. Xia Can, do you have to be so ruthless? I smiled. You didn't feel ruthless when you did bad things. You think it's outrageous when I keep evidence. You can't have double standards like this. From that day on, many classmates began to distance themselves from them. Zhou Yang and Lu Yiran could no longer pretend anymore, for, in the final mock exam, I achieved my personal best score, first in the school, top 3 in the province, when the teacher praised me in class. The whole class applauded. Lu Yiran suddenly burst into tears. She stood up and shouted at the whole class, you all did the best, and I'm the only one who did the worst. Okay. Did the teacher deliberately announce the grades in class just to humiliate me? Everyone was stunned. The homeroom teacher's smile gradually faded. Lu Yiran, I praised Xia Can because she worked hard and her grades are truly excellent. This is not to humiliate you. If you feel that others' excellence is a humiliation, then the one who needs to reflect isn't others, but yourself. Lu Yiran's tears fell even harder. Zhou Yang slammed the table and stood up. I really don't know how I ended up in such an unfeeling class. He turned his head and glared at me. Xia Can, are you satisfied now? You deliberately embarrassed Iran. I looked up unhurriedly. Did I let her score so low that even a 6 student would outperform her? Did I make her write a drama review for her Chinese exam, or did I make her sleep in class, watch dramas after class, and try to guilt-trip others before exams? Someone in the classroom couldn't help but laugh out loud. Zhou Yang's face flushed red. Lu Yiran ran out crying. Zhou Yang also chased after her. As soon as the two of them reached the corner, they bumped into the academic dean and were taken away on the spot. They thought they were acting in a romantic drama. Unfortunately, this was school, not their Mary Sue theater. The next day, both of their attitudes suddenly changed. Zhou Yang took the initiative to come to me and apologize. Xia Can, I'm sorry, I was too impulsive before, and my words were harsh. Both Yiran and I have realized that with your excellent grades, you should go to a better school. We shouldn't have pressured you. Lu Yiran also grabbed my hand. Can, if you don't forgive us, we'll keep apologizing here. I really know I was wrong. In my previous life, it was at this moment that I let my guard down. I thought they finally realized their mistake, but on the day of the college entrance exam, they snatched my admission ticket. In this life, I only watched as she took my hand and slowly pulled it away. I heard your apology. Whether to forgive or not is my business, and don't touch me. Lu Yiran froze. A cold glint flashed in Zhou Yang's eyes, but she quickly masked it with a gentle expression. All right, then you go ahead and review. Good luck on the college entrance exam. I watched their backs as they walked away, then sent a message to my dad. Dad, on the day of the college entrance exam, you and Mom take me to the entrance of the test site. Don't let any acquaintances get close to me on the way. My dad quickly replied, don't worry, I have the original admission ticket here, and I printed a whole stack of copies for you. I smiled as I looked at my phone. In my previous life, I trusted others too much. In this life, I only believe in evidence and preparation. 5. On the day of the college entrance exam, my parents insisted on seeing me off, but as soon as we left the neighborhood gate, I saw Zhou Yang standing by the roadside. He was holding a bag of breakfast in his hand, smiling at me as if nothing had happened. Xia Can, I bought you soy milk and steamed buns. Today is the college entrance exam, let's go together. My dad stepped in front of me. No need, we'll take Chan Chan. Zhou Yang's smile froze on her face. Uncle, I've grown up with Chan Chan since childhood. I just want to cheer her on, my mother said coldly. If you really want to cheer her on, then stay away from her. Zhou Yang's expression turned grim. He didn't follow me any further, but I knew he wouldn't give up that easily. Sure enough, as the car approached the test site, there was a sudden traffic jam ahead. My dad frowned. Why is this road blocked? I glanced out the window and happened to see a man in a baseball cap riding an electric scooter, weaving back and forth on the side of the road. In my previous life, it was him who rushed over and snatched my admission ticket. I glanced down at my phone. Since I left home, my dashcam and phone recording have been on continuously. My dad also noticed something was wrong and immediately pulled the car over to the side of the road. Can, don't get out of the car. I clutched my backpack tightly, but that electric scooter still charged over. The man reached out to snatch the document folder I had placed on my lap. I was prepared and let go, allowing him to snatch it away. Inside was only a photocopy of my exam admission ticket. To make the act more convincing, I even deliberately cried out, "My exam admission ticket." The man rode off on his bike. Zhou Yang suddenly appeared from somewhere, pretending to chase after him. "Xia Can, don't move, I'll go get it back for you." The two of them turned into the alley, one in front of the other. My mother grabbed my hand in a panic. Chan Chan. I pulled out another copy from the side pocket of my backpack, and then a third one from my stationery pouch. Mom. It's okay, the original is with Dad. My dad looked at me and sighed in relief. Should we call the police? I nodded. Call the police first, then enter the examination room. I dialed the number and clearly explained the robbery process and the direction the perpetrator went. Then my parents took me to the entrance of the test site. The homeroom teacher was already waiting there. Seeing me, she immediately came forward. "Are you okay?" I handed her a spare admission ticket. "I'm fine, teacher. Someone stole a copy of my document, and I've already reported it to the police." The homeroom teacher's face turned ashen. "Go into the examination room first." I nodded. At 8:30, the Chinese exam began. I sat in the examination room, listening to the sound of the pen tip touching the answer sheet, my heart incredibly calm. This exam, which I missed in my previous life, in this life, I will reclaim every single stroke, every word. 6. After the 2 days of exams, Zhou Yang and Lu Yiran completely disappeared. I wasn't in a hurry to look for them either. Knew they must have thought I didn't make it to the college entrance exams. The more smug they become, the harder they will fall later. On the day she returned to school to collect her documents, Lu Yiran indeed approached her on her own. A smile couldn't be hidden in her eyes, yet she pretended to be concerned. Can, I heard your admission ticket was snatched away, and you didn't get to take the college entrance exam. Are you okay? I looked at her coldly. What are you pretending for? Isn't this exactly what you wanted to see? The smile on her face froze for a moment, and her eyes quickly reddened. Can, how could you think of me like that? I had no idea about this matter. I just wanted to show you some care. I can't be bothered to play along with her. You didn't know, wasn't it you who reminded Zhou Yang that as long as he took my exam admission ticket, I wouldn't be able to take the test? The surrounding classmates immediately looked over. Lu Yiran's face turned unnatural. She still wanted to cry. "I just can't bear to part with you. You're so good at your studies. You'll definitely go far away in the future, and we'll be separated. I didn't mean to harm you." I cut straight to the chase. "Don't pretend to be all sisterly. Are we really that close?" That sentence left her speechless. The next second, Zhou Yang rushed over and stood in front of her. "Xia Can, you didn't pass the exam yourself. Don't wrong Yiran, I was right next to you that day. It was clearly the electric scooter that rushed over and snatched your exam admission ticket. What does it have to do with her?" I looked at him. "You showed up just in time." "What? The person who stole the admission ticket ran off, and you chased for 10 minutes without catching up. But now you know how to distance yourself from Lu Yiran." Zhou Yang's eyes flickered. I continued. "After the college entrance exam ended that day, someone told me they saw you tearing up an admission ticket in the alley. You wouldn't dare do it but not own up to it, would you?" I was just bluffing him. Unexpectedly, Zhou Yang let out a cold laugh and directly admitted it. "Even if I tore it, so what? I just want you to go to the same school with her. She didn't do well in her exams, so she can only apply to a private junior college. Your grades are so good, what's wrong with lowering them a bit to accompany her once? You're just selfish to begin with. You wouldn't give me your account and password at first. You deserve not to pass the exam now." As soon as those words were spoken, The surroundings erupted in chaos. Is he crazy? How can he be so brazen about tearing someone's exam admission ticket? How dare you tamper with the college entrance exam admission ticket? Isn't this ruining someone's entire life? Xia Chan is the top student in the whole school. How could he do such a thing? This is no longer an ordinary conflict. Calling the police wouldn't be an overreaction. Lu Yiran's face also turned pale. She probably didn't expect Zhou Yang to admit it in front of so many people. I looked at his smug expression and suddenly smiled. Zhou Yang, do you really think I didn't take the college entrance exam? He was momentarily stunned. I took out a complete copy of my admission ticket from my pocket and waved it in front of him. Are you talking about this? Zhou Yang's pupils suddenly contracted. Lu Yiran also stepped back in shock. Impossible. How can you still have it? I opened my school bag, a stack of photocopies of admission tickets. I casually pulled out and tossed right at his feet, white papers scattered all over the ground. I smiled and asked, "Want me to tear them up? I still have dozens of them here. If you like tearing them, I'll let you tear as many as you want." The entire corridor fell silent for a second, then a burst of laughter erupted. Ha 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 ha, I almost forgot. Admission tickets can be photocopied. Have these two never taken an exam before? They're so stupid even in their attempts to harm others. I'm really speechless. This is satisfying. Turns out they were the clowns all along. Zhou Yang's face turned from white to green. Lu Yiran finally panicked. Can, listen to me explain. Leave the explanation to the police. I took out my phone and dialed the number I had saved long ago. Officer, I'd like to file an additional report. The person who snatched my exam admission ticket and deliberately sabotaged my qualification for the college entrance examination has publicly admitted it. Zhou Yang suddenly looked up. Xia Can, are you crazy? You've already taken the exam, haven't you? It doesn't affect you, I said coldly. If I hadn't prepared a backup, would I have been killed by you now? You didn't succeed in harming, but that doesn't mean you didn't intend to. Adults must bear the consequences of their actions. 7. The police car quickly arrived at the school gate. Zhou Yang began to panic. He retorted, I was just speaking in anger earlier. I didn't tear up the exam admission ticket. They have no evidence. I handed my phone to the police. Inside was the full video recording of him saying, so what if I tore it? I wasn't the only one who recorded it. Several other classmates also recorded it. The homeroom teacher walked out of the office, holding the recording, surveillance footage, and the destroyed exam papers I had submitted earlier. Officer, this isn't the first time. Before the college entrance exam, they repeatedly forced Xia Can to hand over her application account password and destroyed her exam papers. Those schools all have records. Zhou Yang's face completely changed. Lu Yiran cried and shook her head. It wasn't me. I really didn't get involved. I just said I wanted to go to school with Can. I didn't tell Zhou Yang to snatch her exam pass. I looked at her and said calmly, you thought there were no surveillance cameras in the alley, right? Lu Yiran's crying suddenly stopped. Zhou Yang froze. I pulled out the video I found after the college entrance exam. It was surveillance footage from a small convenience store at the entrance of the alley. In the footage, a man on an electric scooter handed my exam admission ticket to Zhou Yang. Zhou Yang took it and tore it to pieces in a few moments. Lu Yiran stood beside him, speaking clearly. Fortunately, I thought of this method. As long as Xia Can can't take the exam, she won't be able to go to Tsinghua or Peking University. By then, she won't have a choice. She'll either have to repeat the year or go to a junior college with us. Zhou Yang smiled and said, she can't blame anyone but herself. After all, she refused to give me her account password and made you lose face in class. The evidence is crystal clear. Lu Yiran's legs went weak, and she nearly stumbled. Zhou Yang attempted to argue further but was promptly taken away by the police. The man on the electric bike was also quickly located. He is Zhou Yang's cousin. Zhou Yang gave him 500 yuan, telling him to pretend to snatch my admission ticket on the way, then hand it over to him for disposal. The three of them didn't last long at the police station before confessing everything. When I finished my statement and came out, it was already dark. My parents were waiting at the door. My mother hugged me tightly, her voice trembling. Thankfully, you were prepared for them. I hugged her back. Mom, it won't happen again. In my previous life, Xia Chan died because of misplaced trust. This life, I won't give anyone the chance to destroy me again. 8. The news of Zhou Yang and Lu Yiran being detained quickly spread throughout the school. Their parents took turns coming to my parents to plead for leniency. Zhou Yang's mother cried until her eyes were red. Can, you and Zhou Yang grew up together. He just made a foolish mistake in the heat of the moment. You've already taken the exam, and no harm has been done, so let him off. My Father immediately closed the door. No harm was done because my daughter is smart, not because your son is kind. Louis Ran's mother also came. She was even better at acting than the Zhou family. She knelt as soon as she entered the door. Can, auntie, please. She still has poor grades and is emotionally fragile. She's just afraid of being separated from you. You are so outstanding, with a bright future ahead. Don't bother arguing with her, my mother sneered. My daughter is excellent. Because of her own efforts, your daughter's shortcomings are no excuse to harm my daughter. She's mentally fragile, so she should see a doctor. Don't let her harm others. Both families pleaded in vain and then went to the school to make a scene. The school took a very firm stance this time, with all the evidence in place and the severe impact. No one can protect them. On the day the college entrance exam results were released, my doorstep was crowded with admissions officers. I scored among the top in the province. Admissions teams from both Tsinghua and Peking University came. When the homeroom teacher called me, there was a smile in her voice. Xia Can, you did it. Looking at the score on the screen, the weight in my heart finally lifted. The fate that was torn apart in my previous life has now been pieced back together by my own hands. I ultimately chose Tsinghua University. The day the admission letter arrived at our home, my parents placed it in the most prominent spot in the living room. Anyone who came over could see it. On the same day, Zhou Yang and Louis Ran came out from inside. They didn't get into any university, to be precise, with their scores. Even the private vocational colleges that Louis Ran mentioned wouldn't accept them. I heard that Zhou Yang could have made it into an ordinary undergraduate university, but before the college entrance exam, he was busy causing trouble for Louis Ran, and his performance in the last few subjects was a complete mess, and Lou still performed steadily. Combined, the 6 subjects didn't exceed the score of someone who carefully guessed multiple-choice questions. They officially got together. I sincerely wish them well. Garbage should be locked up and not allowed to spread and pollute others. 9. The summer vacation passed quickly. I entered National Tsinghua University and began a new life. The course was busy and there were many competitions, but I felt fulfilled and happy. Good news also came from my parents. Originally, they had planned to open a store in partnership with the Zhou family, with most of the funding coming from our side. Because of Zhou Yang's incident, the two families completely broke up. My parents just started their own business. Unexpectedly, the business kept getting better, and within just a few years, it had expanded from a small shop into a chain company. The Zhou family, however, was the opposite. They had originally hoped to rely on our family's funding to turn things around. After the partnership fell through, they borrowed money everywhere to open a store, but the business failed miserably, resulting in huge losses. Zhou Yang always believed he was destined for greatness. He could make a fortune without going to college. He invested in this today and that tomorrow, eventually squandering the family's last savings. Louis Ran wasn't doing much better either. She had worked at a few training institutions but was let go not long after starting. Later, the two got married, and their life together was chaotic and tumultuous. I only heard about these things occasionally from relatives back in my hometown. I didn't actively inquire. I was busy studying, interning, starting a business, and striving to move upward. Bad people have their own muddy pits. I have no interest in looking back. 10. I saw Zhou Yang again many years after graduating from university. I had already achieved entrepreneurial success and attained financial freedom. I returned to my hometown that time to help my parents handle the paperwork for an old property. The road at the village entrance seemed narrower than I remembered. As soon as I got out of the car, a bulky figure rushed toward me. The man was unshaven, his clothes wrinkled, but his eyes suddenly lit up. Can. I took a step back before I recognized him as Zhou Yang. The once spirited young man now looked weary, with the scent of alcohol lingering on him. He looked at me, his eyes actually reddening. Can, you're back. Did you come back for me? I almost laughed out loud. Zhou Yang, what are you dreaming about? He seemed not to hear, urgently grabbing the hem of his own clothes. I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have torn up your exam admission ticket back then. I was completely deceived by Louis Ran. She kept crying in my ear, saying you looked down on her and that you were going to abandon us. Can, we grew up together. You must still remember how good I was to you. You came back this time just to see how I'm doing, right? I looked at him. What does how you're doing have to do with me? I came back for business, not to check on the garbage sorting. His expression froze. Suddenly, Louis Ran's sharp voice came from behind. Zhou Yang, you're seeing another woman behind my back again. She rushed forward and started yelling at me. You little vixen, how dare you seduce my husband? Halfway through her scolding, she saw my face clearly and froze completely. Xia Can, after not seeing each other for years, Lu Ran had long lost that delicate and fragile demeanor she once had. She had gained weight. Her hair was messy, and her eyes were filled with resentment. She stared at me, her gaze shifting from shock to jealousy. So it's you, now that you're rich, you've come back to seduce Zhou Yang, right? Zhou Yang immediately stepped in front of me. Lu Ran, don't be crazy, this has nothing to do with Xia Can. I went to her myself. Lu Ran let out a sneer. Now you know how to protect her. Weren't you the one who was most afraid that she would do better than you, afraid that after getting into Tsinghua or Peking University, she would look down on you? The idea of tearing up the exam admission ticket was clearly yours first. You said that if she fails the exam, she'll fall down and become just like us. Are you going to throw everything on me now? Don't you have any shame? Zhou Yang's face suddenly changed. You shut up. The two quickly started fighting. The crowd of onlookers grew larger. Someone remarked, that couple is fighting again. I heard he went to prison back then. Just to ruin that girl's college entrance exam. They've started a company now, yet the two of them are still fighting each other. Truly, karma. I didn't continue watching. Their mutual torment had long lost its appeal to me. I turned and left, going to the village committee to complete the paperwork. On the way back, Zhou Yang still tried to chase my car. I stepped on the accelerator and drove away. In the rearview mirror, I saw him being pulled by Lu Ran, falling to the ground in embarrassment. The two of them started arguing again. I withdraw my gaze and roll down the car window. The countryside breeze carries the scent of grass and trees, clean and refreshing. In my previous life, I died in their filthy schemes. In this life, I will personally send them back to the mud where they belong. The path is one's own choice. The bitter fruits, they too must slowly swallow. As for my life, it has long sailed toward a place farther and brighter. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. My stepmother and my husband were having an affair, and they conspired to wipe out our family, killing both me and my father to inherit all of our family's assets. Fortunately, I was reborn, back to the day before I got engaged to my husband. As I opened my eyes, staring at the coffee cup in my hand and my best friend Tang Tang excitedly chatting in front of me, I felt a moment of confusion. After a while, as Tang Tang continued to chatter, I gradually came to my senses and my thoughts became clearer. I was reborn, back to the day before I got engaged to my husband, Li Jun. I still remembered how I had shared my joy about the upcoming engagement with my best friend Tang Tang, believing wholeheartedly that I had found a good man. Recalling everything that happened afterward felt like a nightmare. I subconsciously gripped the handle of the cup tightly, my heart racing. I never expected that the heavens would show me mercy and give me a second chance. This time, I must protect the Xia family and make those dark, despicable villains pay for their deeds. Seeing that something was off with me, Tang Tang stopped her chatter and asked me with concern, what's wrong, Tian Tian? Are you feeling unwell? I snapped back to reality, looked at Tang Tang, and took a deep breath. I said to her, Tang Tang, I have something very important I need you to do. It's urgent, you must get it done for me by tonight. Seeing how serious I was, Tang Tang immediately nodded. Okay, tell me, I said very seriously. I suspect Li Jun is cheating. I need to find solid evidence, but if I do it myself, Li Jun might find out, so I can only rely on you. Tang Tang knew I would never joke about something like this. The moment I mentioned Li Jun might be cheating, she wanted to jump up in anger, but I quickly held her back. She then cursed with a look of indignation. How dare that scumbag treat you like this? Even without evidence, she immediately stood by my side, believing in my feelings and my words, and I felt a warm sensation in my heart. My best friend Tang Tang and I grew up together. Our families were of similar status, and our fathers had many business dealings, so the two families had always been close. In my previous life, when I was imprisoned by Li Jun, it was Tang Tang who went to great lengths to find me and rescue me. Unfortunately, by then Li Jun had already grown powerful and had connections with the underworld, and not long after, Tang Tang was killed by him. I subconsciously gripped Tang Tang's hand tightly. No matter what, I would not let that happen again this time. Don't let anyone else know about this for now, I reminded Tang Tang. Keep it a secret for me, okay? I promise, Tang Tang said, taking several deep breaths to calm her anger. Then she asked, so, are you still planning to get engaged to him tomorrow? Of course not, I smiled, but I won't break up with him right away. He toyed with my feelings, and he must pay the price. I won't let him walk away unscathed. That's right, Tang Tang nodded repeatedly. It would be too easy on that scumbag if he didn't pay the price. She took out her phone, sending messages as she said, "Leave finding evidence of his cheating to me, you just wait and see." "Okay," I replied, then added, "I have other things to do, let's meet at our usual place tonight." "Okay," Tang Tang agreed readily. We left the coffee shop and went our separate ways. I then headed to my father's company. In my previous life, my father passed away just a month after I married Li Jun. Later, I discovered that it was my stepmother who had been poisoning him all along. It was a slow-acting toxin, and if the dosage was small each time, it would take over 3 years for the poison to reach a critical stage. In reality, my father had been poisoned for 2.5 years, less than 3. It was only because of my affairs that my father was emotionally exhausted, accelerating the spread of the poison and hastening his death. Thinking of this, I subconsciously clenched my fingers. Overwhelmed by a wave of guilt, I took a deep breath, trying to calm myself down, before walking up to the reception desk. The receptionist was on the phone, and when she saw me approach, she merely glanced at me and continued her gossip on the phone as if I didn't exist. I didn't get angry and said proactively, "I'm here to see Mr. Xia." The female receptionist glanced at me again but didn't respond, continuing her idle chatter on the phone. I frowned slightly. This receptionist's attitude was really bad. I tapped the counter lightly, raising my voice slightly. "I'm here to see Mr. Xia." The receptionist's smiling face immediately turned sour, and she glared at me unhappily. "Do you have an appointment?" "No," I just started to say, but she cut me off unceremoniously. "Without an appointment, you can't see Mr. Xia. Leave now." After saying that, she seemed to feel it wasn't enough to vent her anger and added, "Who knows what kind of stray cat or dog thinks they can just see our Mr. Xia whenever they want." I lowered my face and took out my phone to call my father, Xia Jiangwo. Originally, I wanted to surprise him by not telling him I was coming, but the receptionist didn't even let me finish saying, "I'm Mr. Xia's daughter." So I didn't need to be too polite. I dialed the number, but after a long time, it didn't connect. As I listened to the busy tone on the phone, the receptionist who had been watching me suddenly sneered, "No appointment, no backing, so stop pretending here, aren't you ashamed?" I ignored her and called my father's assistant, Xiao He, instead. This time, the phone was picked up quickly. I didn't waste words and just said, "Come down to get me." After that, I hung up. The receptionist, however, didn't rein in her disdain but looked at me even more contemptuously. "What are you pretending for? Let's see if anyone will actually come down to take you up to our company floor." With just that sentence, "Maybe it's the janitor," I smiled instead of getting angry. "Do you usually treat people like this?" "It depends on who," the receptionist said nonchalantly. "I naturally treat big bosses better. Someone like you, who knows who you're trying to seduce, I certainly can't just let in." I was wearing a plain outfit without any brand logos, which was actually a custom-made piece by a renowned designer, one of a kind in the world, but obviously, the receptionist only saw it as cheap clothing and automatically assumed I was some woman trying to climb into a boss's bed. My expression cooled slightly. Usually, only those who think this way themselves would subconsciously assume it of others, wouldn't they? The receptionist's face turned ashen in an instant. She stepped out from behind the counter and raised her hand to slap me. "What are you talking nonsense about?" I swiftly raised my hand to catch her wrist. She wasn't giving up. While struggling, she tried to scratch my face with her long, manicured nails. "What are you doing?" Xiao He's voice came from the direction of the elevator, quickly approaching. The person who arrived was a young man, lean in build but with considerable strength, who quickly separated me from the receptionist. The receptionist clearly recognized the assistant and immediately tried to shift the blame. "Assistant she didn't have an appointment but wanted to enter the company." I stopped her, and she started hitting and cursing at me. Xiao He ignored the receptionist. He looked me up and down with great concern and asked, "Miss, are you all right? Not a hair out of place?" I joked. The receptionist froze, like a statue, standing motionless. She looked at me in disbelief, as if unable to believe what she had just heard. The only person the assistant would address as "Miss" was the daughter of the CEO, Mr. Xia. After a few seconds of stunned silence, the receptionist panicked. I enjoyed watching her change expressions and spoke before she could say anything. "You're fired." I then said to Xiao He, "Her service attitude is terrible. Check the surveillance. If this has caused us to lose important clients, sue her for violating her labor contract. Negligence leading to significant company losses is grounds for a lawsuit." Xiao He nodded repeatedly and immediately called someone to handle the matter. The receptionist was dumbfounded, unable to utter a word. I didn't even glance at her as I walked toward the elevator. Dealing with such a two-faced person didn't warrant wasting much of my time, nor would it affect my emotions much. I was simply someone who repaid grievances with grievances. He took me to the president's office on the top floor. He poured me a cup of hot tea and politely said, "The president is in a meeting, and it should be over in about an hour." "All right, I'll wait here for him." I nodded, indicating that he could go about his own business. He tactfully left and closed the office door. I casually picked up a magazine from the side and flipped through it. Just 5 minutes into waiting, my phone suddenly rang. Taking it out, I saw that it was Li Jun calling. Seeing this name, I couldn't help but clench my teeth. But now was not the time to confront him. I took a few deep breaths to calm myself down before answering the call. Li Jun gently reminded me that we were getting engaged tomorrow, and I should go pick up my engagement dress instead of just chatting with my girlfriends. "Don't worry, these things will be taken care of by assistants, so it won't take up much time." I tried my best to sound as if I had no impatience in my tone. "Is there something you need to talk about?" Li Jun chuckled lightly. "No reason, I just missed you. Of course, you can call me anytime." I forced a smile, my tone light and cheerful. "I'm very happy that you called me." Li Jun laughed and said a couple more sweet words, then suddenly changed the subject. Tian, I've set my eyes on a tie clip, and I think it would go perfectly with tomorrow's engagement outfit." He didn't finish his sentence, but I already understood what he meant. Since dating Li Jun, almost all the expensive items had been paid for by me. I wasn't the kind of person who nitpicked about money, always thinking that with my family's wealth, spending a bit more was normal, as long as Li Jun could provide emotional value and spiritual resonance, plus show ambition, I was satisfied. In fact, before his true nature was revealed, he had indeed performed well. That's why I was so devoted to him and willing to spend money on him. But now that I knew his true nature, how could I still be fooled by his superficial gentleness? I pretended to hesitate and said, "I just saw a beautiful diamond tie clip while shopping with my girlfriends, and I thought it would suit you, so I bought it, planning to give it to you as a surprise tomorrow." "Then there's no need to buy the one I had my eye on." Li Jun immediately changed his tune. Tian, I knew you were the best to me, even thinking of me while shopping. You're my boyfriend, of course, I have to treat you well," I said sweetly, my face wearing a cold smile. Li Jun changing his mind was something I had expected. I had always been generous with him, and even without mentioning the price, the moment he heard the word diamond, he could tell that the tie clip I bought must be quite valuable. An hour later, my father, Xia Jiangwo, finally returned to his president's office. Seeing me, his face showed a mix of joy and tension. Tian, he opened his mouth, as if unsure of what to say, and after a long while, he remained silent. I sighed inwardly. The relationship between my father and me had grown increasingly strained since he married his second wife. We hadn't been alone together like this in a long time. Not only did he seem unsure how to talk to me, but I also felt a bit nervous around him. I stood up, pulling my father to sit down on the sofa. "Dad, I have something very important to tell you. Since neither of us is good at small talk, let's just get straight to the point." Seeing my serious expression, my father also became more solemn. "What is it? Has Lu Huafang been insisting on delivering bento boxes she made herself to you every day?" I suddenly asked a question that seemed completely unrelated. Lu Huafang is my stepmother, 10 years older than me, and 10 years younger than my father. At her age of over 30, she has a mature charm that is more refined than a 20-year-old, yet still youthful compared to a 40-year-old. Coupled with her virtuous and graceful demeanor, she certainly has the appeal to attract men. When I mentioned my stepmother's name directly, my father frowned slightly but did not reprimand me. "Your Aunt Lu has always been devoted to me and this family. She worries about my health and insists on preparing 3 meals a day for me, even delivering them in wind or rain, not leaving until she sees me eat." I raised an eyebrow, interrupting him. "Does she always take the lunchbox back with her?" My father was taken aback, not expecting me to ask this. "Yes, after I finish eating, she naturally takes it back to wash." I showed a look of regret. I had originally thought of taking the lunchbox to have the residue tested, but it seemed the woman was cautious. Not only did she watch my father eat but also promptly took the lunchbox back to wash. After thinking for a moment, I said, "I'll go home with you tonight." My father called Lu Huafang in front of me. I waited quietly for her to hang up before speaking again, announcing that I wanted to cancel tomorrow's engagement. My father was once again stunned, feeling completely out of sync with my train of thought. "What happened? Did you two have a fight?" Instead of immediately scolding me, He asked for the reason. I couldn't help but feel a pang of emotion. In truth, my father had always been good to me. Even after marrying Lu Huafang, he hadn't neglected his care for me. Despite my impatience and cold treatment, she had always shown great patience. However, in my previous life, I had been swayed by Lu Huafang's subtle provocations, my anger clouding my judgment, and I believed my father was siding with her. Even when Lu Huafang hinted that she had been involved with my father even before my mother's death, I grew even more resentful toward him, unwilling to listen to a single word he said. I was convinced at the time that having a stepmother meant having a stepfather as well. My dad, like those irresponsible fathers, only pretended to care about me to avoid gossip. Seeing my eyes redden slightly, Xia Zhengwo immediately panicked. Did he bully you? What grievances have you suffered? Tell me, I'll stand up for you. I looked up at my dad, who was still handsome and dashing at this moment. He was still a bachelor with a diamond-like status, extremely well-maintained, radiating the charm of a mature man in both his demeanor and appearance. The image of him now overlapped with the emaciated and aged version of him from my previous life just before his death, making me feel both guilty and sad. Fortunately, it was still not too late to change everything. I made up my mind in my heart, sniffled, and asked seriously, Dad, no matter what I tell you, will you believe me? My dad had never seen me so serious before. He composed himself and said gravely, You're my daughter, and I know your character. No matter what you say, I will believe you. Those few words instantly made me drop all my defenses. I confessed everything to my dad, including my past life and the fact that I had been reborn. The more he listened, the tighter his brows furrowed, and my heart rose with tension. I knew what I was saying was too incredible, and Lu Huifang had always played the part of a virtuous wife and mother in front of my dad. It was hard for him to believe that Lu Huifang had an affair with Li Jun and had been poisoning him all along. After a while, my dad looked at me and asked, You said you're going back for dinner tonight to find evidence of her poisoning. I nodded. Yes, she's trying to harm you, and I need to find evidence to put her in jail. Let me handle this investigation. My dad's expression turned serious. You should stay away from home for now. I can't let you take that risk. I was stunned, then felt a warmth in my eyes. My dad believed me so easily and was immediately concerned about my safety. I'll cancel the engagement banquet, my dad continued. That scoundrel Li Jun dared to bully my daughter. I won't let him off. Dad, I'll handle his matter. I quickly interjected. Canceling the engagement banquet needs a reasonable excuse. I need some time to gather evidence, so I have to keep him in check for now. My dad frowned deeply, his eyes showing disgust. And just seeing him made me feel sick. I took a deep breath, trying to stay rational. But to buy enough time to gather evidence, I had to do this. No need. My dad waved his hand. There are other ways to create time to gather evidence. I was stunned. What other ways? My dad smiled, walked over, and patted my head. Leave everything to me. Indeed, the ginger is still spicy with age. My father, who has lived 20 more years than me and has rich social experience, is much more seasoned in his actions than I am. He knew that I had already asked my best friend Tang Tang to investigate Li Jun's infidelity, so he went to do something else. He first had someone check Li Jun's private accounts and then investigated Li Jun's social interactions over the past half year, and he actually found some issues. From 2 in the afternoon to 6 in the evening, 4 hours was too short, and what he could uncover was only the most superficial. Li Jun had repeatedly embezzled company funds, bribed high-level executives of this competing company, and attempted to secure a higher position and greater benefits. However, at that time, there was not enough evidence to deal a fatal blow to Li Jun. Nevertheless, my father still had someone make an anonymous tip-off call and send out the little bit of evidence he had gathered. Although the evidence was insufficient to convict Li Jun, it was enough to have him detained for about 10 days if no one bailed him out. This provided a legitimate reason to cancel the engagement banquet, and I could retreat as an innocent victim. More importantly, we now had 10 days to thoroughly investigate everything about Li Jun and gather all the favorable evidence. Li Jun didn't even make it to dinner that day before he was taken away. When I confirmed that Li Jun had been taken away, I felt a huge sense of relief. Although I had mentally prepared myself to put on an act with Li Jun for a while, I still felt uncomfortable. My father's move of cutting off the problem at its root perfectly eliminated the need for me to continue putting up with Li Jun. I couldn't help but give my father a thumbs up. Dad, you're brilliant with this move. My father showed a hint of pride. Dealing with a young punk like him is more than enough. After a while, his expression darkened. Ultimately, it's my fault. I saw that he treated you well, and you were so set on being with him. I didn't see anything wrong with his character, so I didn't investigate thoroughly. Even a tiger can doze off. No matter how good your judgment is, you can still make a mistake. I comforted him. Lu Hua is an example. My father glanced at me and then sighed. It's my fault. He didn't continue, changing the subject instead. It was getting late, and I should have been off work. I stood up, not entirely at ease, and asked, "Do you really not need me to go back with you? He doesn't know I discovered his poison, so don't worry." Dad patted my head and added, "I've already booked a private doctor. Tomorrow, you're coming with me for a comprehensive physical check." I knew Dad was worried that Li Jun might have poisoned me too, so I didn't object. Not long after I got back to my apartment, I received a call from Li Jun. I knew what his intentions were, but I still picked up the phone. Li Jun's voice carried an unmistakable awkwardness. Tian, something unexpected happened here. Can you come to the police station to bail me out?" I sneered inwardly. Of course, that's how it was. Li Jun's hometown was in another province, and his parents were there. Even if he wanted his parents to bail him out, he couldn't get them here in time, and his parents rarely traveled far, so they might not even be able to find the police station here. Meanwhile, Lu Huafeng was having dinner with my dad, and even if Li Jun asked her for help, my dad, who already knew their intentions, could easily stop her without arousing suspicion. Li Jun's so-called friends were even less reliable, and he was too proud to let them see him in this state, but I was different. I was infatuated with him, and even if something like this happened, I would only worry about him, not laugh at him. Moreover, he could easily come up with an excuse to deceive me, so Li Jun knew very well that I was the most suitable person, and he had no choice but to call me. I pretended to be surprised and asked, "What happened? How did you end up in the police station?" "It's a long story, but it's all a misunderstanding," Li Jun vaguely explained, then added, "Just bail me out first, and I'll explain everything later." Okay, I immediately agreed. "Don't worry, I'll be right there." Li Jun's voice noticeably relaxed. "All right, I'll wait for you." After hanging up, I leisurely took off my clothes and went to take a shower. Bail him out. Dream on. I leisurely undressed and went to take a shower. Bailing him out was a dream. I was eager for him to stay in the bureau for a few more days, giving him hope and then shattering it. Just as she had treated me many times in my previous life, now I was merely collecting some interest. After a comfortable shower, I dried my hair and lay on the sofa watching TV. About an hour later, my phone lit up again. Seeing the note, "Scumbag must die," I felt in an excellent mood. Using a phone in the bureau wasn't convenient. It required approval from the inside and was always under surveillance. The thought of Li Jun expecting me to come to his rescue, growing more anxious with time, and finally having to call again made me very happy. I muted the TV and picked up the phone to answer the call. Tian, why haven't you arrived yet?" Li Jun's voice carried obvious impatience, and the good temper he usually pretended to have in front of me was gone. His tone was urgent. "I've been waiting for you for over an hour. How dare you blame me?" I angrily questioned. "You actually dared to embezzle money from my father's company and were unclear with the executives of that competing company. What are you plotting?" Li Jun was silent for a long time, and I could imagine his shocked and panicked expression, his brain probably racing to think of a way to gloss over it. As I expected, he quickly spoke up. Tian, it's just a misunderstanding. I was slandered by someone." "Really?" I deliberately showed a skeptical expression. "Really?" Li Jun probably saw hope and hurriedly said, "The people from that competing company have tried to poach me several times, but I not only refused but also scolded them several times. It must be because they bore a grudge that they deliberately slandered me." "You didn't do those things," I reconfirmed. "Of course not," Li Jun assured me. "We're almost married, so naturally, we should help your father run the company well. There's no need to curry favor with that competing company." His words were quite veiled, but I understood what he meant. Someday, my father's company would be mine, and by marrying me, it would eventually be his. He shouldn't have been so blunt about it at this moment, though. In my previous life, I wouldn't have thought much of it and wouldn't have considered the deeper implications, but now, hearing him say such things, I couldn't help but feel disgusted. In truth, he already considered my father's company as his own, but that wasn't enough for him. He wanted complete control, to eliminate both me and my father. This was the real reason he was collaborating with that competing company. In my previous life, he had colluded with them from within, though that only happened after my father's death, so I hadn't realized he was already laying the groundwork so early. "All right, I believe you." I tried to sound as trusting of Li Jun as possible, then deliberately paused for a few seconds before continuing, "But my father already knows about this, and he's very angry. If I bail you out now, he might think I'm being unreasonable. If it upsets him to the point of illness, I'd be at fault." I didn't give Li Jun a chance to speak before adding, "Since you're innocent, the police will surely clear your name, just bear with it for a couple of days. I'll also try to find out who's framing you and restore your reputation as soon as possible." Li Jun fell silent. With his current strength, he didn't dare confront my father directly. Moreover, we weren't married yet, and he was more afraid that my father would have a bad impression of him, preventing me from being with him. Sure enough, after a moment of silence, his tones softened considerably. "What about tomorrow's engagement banquet?" he asked. "We'll have to cancel it." I sighed, feigning helplessness. "Luckily, it's not the wedding banquet. Don't worry, I'll handle this." Li Jun fell silent again. I didn't give him more time to think, saying, "It's getting late, you should rest. I'll find a chance to visit you tomorrow." Hearing this, Li Jun's voice filled with hope once more. "All right, I'll wait for you." After hanging up the phone and tossing it aside, I stretched lazily. Of course, this was just another empty promise. How could I really go see him? Giving him hope only to disappoint him, like teasing a mouse, was quite amusing, wasn't it? The next morning, my father took me to a private clinic for a comprehensive physical examination. Meanwhile, he also handed over several plastic-sealed bags to the doctor for independent testing. While waiting for the test results, I looked at my dad with some concern. "Did you eat the food Lu Huafang made last night?" I asked, trying not to arouse his suspicion. Just like usual, my dad didn't seem too bothered and said, "You mentioned before that it's a slow-acting poison. I won't show symptoms for another 2.5 years, even if she started poisoning me from the very beginning when she married me. It's only been a year, one more meal won't make a difference." I knew my dad was right, but I still couldn't help worrying. After all, I had been ingesting slow-acting poison for a year. What if it had already caused irreversible damage to my body? Wouldn't it reduce my lifespan? Thinking about this, I felt even more hatred towards Lu Huafang. "Don't worry too much, the results will be out soon," my dad comforted me. My dad then asked, "You mentioned that Li Jun called you last night, asking you to bail him out." I nodded, diverting my attention, pretending to agree, but in reality, I didn't go. I even told him last night that I would visit him today, but I had no intention of doing so. I smiled at my dad, saying, "Let's keep him hanging, make him think we don't know the truth. Anyway, he can't do anything inside, just suffer mentally, worrying that his dirty secrets will be exposed." Just as we were talking, Dr. Zhao, my dad's friend, walked over with a stack of test reports. Tian is fine, very healthy," Dr. Zhao said first, addressing my dad's biggest concern. Then he added, "However, Lao Xia, it seems you've been poisoned." My dad wasn't surprised and just asked, "Is my body in danger? Can I recover?" "The poisoning isn't too severe, and there's a way to detoxify. I'll prepare the medication for you, and you just need to get an intravenous drip for a week. However, the poison has already caused significant damage to your body. You'll need to take good care of yourself for at least a year or half a year to fully recover," Dr. Zhao explained. "All right, you can arrange it," my dad replied. Hearing this result, I felt sorry for my dad, but at the same time, I couldn't help but feel a little relieved. Fortunately, he could still recover. "Oh, by the way, what about those samples I brought? What did you find out? Is there poison in them?" my dad asked again. Dr. Zhao had already understood the situation of my dad's poisoning and conducted targeted toxicological tests, which quickly revealed the results. Dr. Zhao pulled out the bottom few sheets from a stack of test reports, glancing at them as he spoke. "There are very trace amounts of poison in both the milk cup and the coffee cup." I narrowed my eyes slightly. My father always drank a glass of milk before bed and a cup of coffee in the morning. Lu Huifang poisoned him 3 times a day, so it was likely that the poison at noon was in the soup. It seemed there was no need to investigate the food from noon specifically. My father said to Dr. Zhao, "Could you help me turn these test reports into a proper chain of evidence? I'll need them later." Dr. Zhao agreed readily, then added, "Lao Xia, don't go to work today. I need to prepare some medicine to detoxify you." After some thought, my father agreed. Then he turned to me and asked, "How did Tangtang's investigation go last night?" "We found some leads about Li Jun being involved with other women," I replied. "I'm planning to gather everything and expose it all at once." "Good, you handle this yourself, I won't interfere." My father patted my shoulder and said earnestly, but remember, if you run into any trouble or difficulties, come to your dad right away. Dad will always be your strongest support." I nodded in agreement, then left the hospital first to meet Tang Tang. It was already past 1 in the afternoon, and I hadn't had lunch yet, so I arranged to meet Tang Tang at our usual private restaurant. Tang Tang handed me an envelope, her face full of disdain. "This scumbag actually cheated on several women, he's a rotten cucumber through and through." I wasn't surprised by this revelation. In my previous life, not long after my father's death, Li Jun took control of the Xia family's business. According to Lu Huifang's plan, I should have been killed or sent to a mental institution, but Li Jun didn't do that. He let Lu Huifang believe I was already dead, then secretly locked me up in a house he had prepared in advance. Of course, I wasn't lucky enough to be his golden nest, hidden away. Instead, I was locked in a dark, windowless basement. It was during that time that he gloated to me about everything, revealing that the happy marriage and perfect husband I thought I had were all part of a meticulously planned conspiracy. He didn't harbor any romantic feelings for me, he was simply not yet tired of my body, and he thoroughly enjoyed the sensation of manipulating me like a puppet. Watching a once proud and noble young lady fall into his clutches brought him an extreme sense of pleasure. I knew I couldn't escape, but the hatred in my heart made it unbearable to be humiliated by him like this, so I secretly hid a pencil and, when he once again pressed himself against me, I stabbed through his throat. Unfortunately, I was too weak at the time and failed to kill him instantly, instead being thrown against a corner of the table and dying, but his injuries back then were severe enough that he couldn't have survived. Yes, I had already avenged myself in my previous life, but that still didn't quell the hatred in my heart. I had too many regrets and grievances, which is probably why I was reborn. In any case, since Li Jun dared to imprison me behind Lu Huafang's back, it's clear that he wasn't deeply in love with her either. During our relationship, he couldn't touch me, and I couldn't often see Lu Huafang, so there must have been others. So, when I saw the pile of documents in the folder, I wasn't surprised at all. As I looked at the photos of those 3 women, a plan of dog eats dog suddenly sprang to mind. That evening, Li Jun finally couldn't hold back and called me again. This time, I didn't pick up immediately. I watched the phone screen light up and then go dark, only to light up again a moment later. It wasn't until the 3rd time that I answered the call. Before Li Jun could speak, I took the initiative. "Li Jun, did you cheat on me behind my back?" Li Jun's words got stuck in his throat, and for a long time, he didn't make a sound. Clearly, he hadn't expected that during his brief detention, such a huge surprise would occur. He was at a complete loss for how to respond. I wasn't in a hurry, just staying silent and letting the pressure build. After a while, Li Jun finally spoke. "Baby, is there some kind of misunderstanding? I'm completely devoted to you. How could there be anyone else?" His voice was full of grievance. In my previous life, I would have probably dismissed my suspicions right away, but after experiencing all that, no matter what Li Jun said, I wouldn't believe him anymore. Moreover, I had already found concrete evidence of his infidelity. Hearing him say these things now, I could only find it laughable. "Someone even came to me," I said irritably, "and begged me to let you two be together, not to break you apart." Before Li Jun could speak, I added, "I think it's better for us to cool off for a while. Don't call me again." After saying that, I hung up the phone, not giving him a chance to explain. I deliberately didn't mention any names or go into detail about the conversation I had with the other woman, forcing Li Jun to guess who had come to see me and how much I really knew. This psychological torment was far more painful for him than any physical harm. In reality, none of his mistresses had come to see me. I was just using this as an excuse to express my anger at Li Jun, which allowed me to cancel my plan to visit him today. This way, Li Jun wouldn't suspect that my refusal to bail him out had any other motives. Just imagining him anxiously waiting for a day and a night, fully expecting me to visit him today, thinking that a few sweet words would convince me to get him out, only to find out that I wouldn't even go, made me feel incredibly satisfied. My father pretended to be on a business trip and hadn't returned home for several days, successfully avoiding having to eat Lu Huifang's cooking. To prevent Lu Huifang from becoming suspicious, my father didn't go to the company during these days. Apart from gathering more evidence of Lu Huifang and Li Jun's crimes, he went to a private hospital for treatment and then returned to my apartment to rest at night. In this way, 10 days quickly passed. Due to insufficient evidence, Li Jun was released. Li Jun hesitated for a moment but still agreed. "I'll do whatever you say." After hanging up the phone, I sent Li Jun an address. Tang Tang looked at me worriedly. I'll go with you. He sent me some more information about Li Jun today. My father's investigation focused mainly on the criminal evidence of Li Jun and Lu Huifang, while Tang Tang looked into their backgrounds and potential connections. What we found was truly shocking. Lu Huifang and Li Jun had known each other 5 years ago. Li Jun was a year older than me, and he had just turned 18 when he met Lu Huifang. His parents didn't approve of him being with Lu Huifang. On one hand, they believed Li Jun should focus on his studies. On the other hand, they disapproved of Lu Huifang, who was nearly 10 years older than Li Jun, thinking she had corrupted their naive son. Forced into a corner, Li Jun and Lu Huifang broke up. Lu Huifang moved to another city to work, and later Li Jun went to university, then met and fell in love with me. It wasn't until a year ago, when he was interning at my father's company, that he met Lu Huifang again, who had by then become my father's girlfriend. Tang Tang, upon seeing the information that my stepmother and my boyfriend had such a tangled relationship, looked completely shocked, as if her worldview had been completely refreshed. In contrast, having experienced the previous life, I appeared much calmer. I had long known that Lu Hua and Li Jun were having an affair, but I hadn't expected there to be such a melodramatic past between them. Tian, I'm talking to you. Tang Tang waved her hand in front of me. I don't feel safe letting you meet that jerk alone. Let me go with you. I don't want to face him alone either. I nodded in agreement. I would have asked you to come with me even if you hadn't mentioned it. 12. The meeting was arranged at a restaurant on a bustling street. Although it wasn't a high-end establishment, it had a good reputation and was always busy, even on weekdays. I had reserved a table in advance and sent the details to Li Jun. By the time Tang Tang and I strolled over, Li Jun was already seated. Tian, why did you arrange to meet in such a low-class restaurant this time? Li Jun complained as soon as he saw me, looking wronged. I thought you'd give me a proper welcome, help me get rid of bad luck, at least at a 3-star restaurant. But Tang Tang sneered at Li Jun's words, and I secretly held Tang Tang's hand, suppressing his urge to retort. I don't think there's any need to welcome you properly, I said, feigning hurt. You embezzled money from my family's company and cheated on me behind my back. The fact that I'm willing to meet you is already out of respect for our years of relationship. Hearing me say this, Li Jun felt that I was deeply in love with him. Even knowing he might have a mistress, I couldn't let go of my feelings for him. He thought he still had a chance and immediately grabbed my hand. Tian, these are all misunderstandings, let me explain. Before he could finish, the waiter brought over a few dishes, forcing Li Jun to stop talking. After the waiter left, he whispered in complaint, Tian, even if you chose this restaurant, you should have booked a private room. Booking a table in the main hall, with people coming and going, makes it inconvenient for us to talk. The place was very popular, and I had specifically managed to get a table in the main hall. Li Jun was anxious to explain, I have many rivals, and they know I'm about to get engaged to you. They must be incredibly jealous and are trying to sabotage our relationship. Is that so? I remained noncommittal. Yes, that's right. Li Jun reached out again, trying to hold my hand, but I avoided him. His face turned a bit sour, but he still spoke gently. Tian, my heart belongs only to you. There's no way I could have any relationship with another woman. Finally, he added, I admit that a few women have shown interest in me before, but I never even looked at them. My heart belongs only to you. Is that so? I waved my hand toward the distance, smiling at Li Jun. Then why don't you explain it to them? Li Jun sat with his back to the restaurant entrance. Hearing my words, he instinctively turned his head to look, and his expression immediately changed. 2 women dressed to the nines, wearing sky-high heels, came running towards me. They were Li Jun's mistress and her rival. I had arranged for these 2 women to sit at different tables, and they were unaware of each other's existence. Now, suddenly seeing each other running in the same direction, they both froze for a moment, then seemed to realize something. Their eyes filled with disbelief. What followed was a very lively brawl. The mistress and her rival pulled each other's hair, while Li Jun desperately tried to distance himself from the situation. Hearing Li Jun frantically explain to me, the 2 women immediately turned their attention to him, clawing and scratching at his face. Although Li Jun was a man and much stronger than the women, he couldn't withstand the relentless assault from both sides. Before long, his neck, face, and even his arms were covered in scratches and blood. Tang Tang and I, as the legitimate girlfriends, stood safely on the sidelines, enjoying the spectacle and feeling quite satisfied. With a loud rip, Li Jun's suit pants were torn. He awkwardly covered his private parts, too, Embarrassed to leave under everyone's watchful eyes, he had no choice but to sit back down, using the chair and table to shield himself from the curious gazes of the other diners. By this point, most of the guests had stopped eating and were busy recording the scene with their phones. The multiple angles of the footage left Lee Jun with nowhere to hide. This was exactly the effect I wanted. I leaned on Tang Tang's shoulder, pretending to sob pitifully, while secretly enjoying the drama unfolding. Before us, an hour later, the two women were exhausted and paused their fight. Lee Jun thought he could finally catch a break, but at that moment, a woman with a slightly protruding belly walked over, her eyes filled with tears as she looked at Lee Jun. "Ah, Jun, didn't you say you would marry me? How could you be with someone else behind my back, and not just one person?" Her gaze was full of grievance. She was the fifth woman, and the most naive of the three. Not only had she been deceived, but she was also pregnant, believing wholeheartedly that she would marry the man she loved. Until today, she had no idea she was interfering in someone else's relationship. The third party, oh, no, the fifth party. Both the third and fourth parties were stunned, staring at the obviously pregnant woman, then turning to look at Lee Jun again. Before Lee Jun could speak, the two women lunged at him once more, pummeling and cursing him. The fifth woman stood by, wiping her tears, instinctively covering her belly to protect her child, afraid of being hurt. However, she didn't say much about the third and fourth parties beating up Lee Jun, even though she was gentle by nature. Upon discovering that her love was a deception, she had no desire to defend the scoundrel. 13. The video of Lee Jun being torn apart by the third and fourth parties went viral online. I spent some money to boost its popularity and had some video bloggers create meme and funny videos to reach more people. I had already compensated the restaurant for its losses. Back then, despite the chaos, the restaurant owner didn't intervene, allowing the third and fourth parties to fight for hours. That was because I had preemptively informed the owner and offered a hefty compensation, so the owner deliberately stayed away, pretending to be unaware. The incident became so big that it was almost common knowledge. I took the opportunity to announce the annulment of my engagement to Lee Jun using my personal account. I was the ultimate victim. The public opinion was overwhelmingly against Lee Jun, the scoundrel, so no one questioned my decision to break off the engagement. However, my ultimate goal wasn't just to have Lee Jun condemned by netizens. The widespread nature of this incident would also reach Lu Huafeng. Lu Huafeng always believed herself to be the one Lee Jun fell in love with at the dawn of his youth. Even though Lee Jun would marry me and have relations with me in the future, she still felt she was the irreplaceable one in Lee Jun's heart. But the uproar caused by the third, fourth, and fifth parties shattered Lu Huafeng's beautiful dream. There was no benefit in maintaining relationships with multiple women simultaneously, which only proved Lee Jun's infidelity, especially since the fifth woman was pregnant, which carried even more significance. Sure enough, on the afternoon the scandal broke, Lu Huafeng called Lee Jun to arrange a meeting. In the previous life, before poisoning my father, Lu Huafeng had never secretly met Lee Jun in this city, but this time she broke that rule. Clearly in a hurry, Lu Huafeng and Lee Jun didn't meet at a hotel, likely to avoid being photographed by prying eyes, which would be detrimental to both of them. She was fully disguised, wearing sunglasses, a mask, and a baseball cap, revealing almost no skin on her face, then went straight to Lee Jun's residence. Unfortunately, the private investigator my father had arranged was already stationed outside the villa, so Lu Huafeng was followed as soon as she left her home, rendering her disguise useless. Lee Jun's house had also been bugged by my father's people, so not only could we hear their conversation clearly, but it was also recorded. Lu Huafeng blurted out a question, her tone sounding extremely wronged. "You had a child with someone else." I was set up. Lee Jun immediately defended himself. "Feng, I love you the most. Other women are garbage in my eyes. How could I possibly have a child with someone else?" Hearing this, I couldn't help but let out a cold laugh. Even a fool could tell that Lee Jun thought I had already torn all pretenses with him, that he couldn't gain any more benefits from me, and thus had to cling tightly to Lu Huafeng as his only hope. As long as Lu Huafeng still had feelings for him, their planned scheme would still be effective. Then what about the pregnant woman? Lu Huafeng's tone had softened considerably, as if she believed Lee Jun's words. "That woman has always had designs on me, and I've consistently rejected her. She probably felt her pride was hurt and wanted to ruin my reputation this way," Lee Jun said in frustration. "I'm so angry I could spit nails, but I can't explain myself clearly. Those online trolls don't care about the truth. They just get excited over the slightest hint of scandal and start spewing nonsense everywhere. You're right about that, Lu Huafeng said, now indignant. Nowadays, as soon as someone pretends to be pitiful online, those keyboard warriors don't bother to find out the real situation before swarming into cyberbully, each one more disgusting than the last. Seeing that Lu Huafeng believed him, Li Jun breathed a sigh of relief and quickly added, Fang, I knew you'd believe me, unlike that bitch Xia Tian, who believed anything anyone said without even listening to my explanation. Of course, how could that idiot Xia Tian compare to me? Lu Huafeng said smugly. If she had even a shred of intelligence, she wouldn't have been played like a fool by both of us. Hearing this, I didn't get angry. Instead, I felt a sense of schadenfreude. I wondered what expression Lu Huafeng would have when she realized she was the one who had been deceived the most by Li Jun. Certain that Lu Huafeng no longer doubted him, Li Jun relaxed and changed the subject. Fang, with things like this, I have no other options now. I can only rely on you. Lu Huafeng was silent for a moment before nodding. I understand, leave it to me, I'll make sure we achieve our goal within a month at most. Fang, I knew it, even if the whole world abandons me, you'll always be by my side. Li Jun's voice sounded deeply affectionate, and then my headphones picked up some intimate sounds. I threw down the headphones in disgust, feeling contaminated. With the situation so urgent, those two actually had the mood to do such a thing. It seemed they were not yet desperate enough. On the very night of Li Jun and Lu Hua's meeting, their affair was exposed. However, the informant only released a few intimate photos of the two hugging, with no other evidence. Even so, the revelation went viral in a short time. The fiancé of the daughter and the wife of the father having an affair. Such a scandalous relationship sparked the curiosity of many. Shortly after, Li Jun issued a statement using his personal account. Lu Hua quickly followed suit with a denial statement on her own account. Seeing these actions from the two, I couldn't help but smile in satisfaction. The reason I initially only had the informant release a few photos was to give Li Jun and Lu Hua the illusion that they still had room to explain themselves. I didn't expect them to be so cooperative and fall for it so quickly. The informant was very savvy about public opinion. After Li Jun and Lu Hua's denial statements had circulated enough, they released several audio and video clips. The video was almost entirely blurred with mosaics, leaving nothing visible. Even so, due to the overly suggestive nature of the audio, it was quickly censored. However, the brief period before it was censored was enough for many netizens to see and spread it widely. The audio was even more explosive, completely exposing the affair between the two and their plan to harm both me and my father. Following that, I reported the matter to the police with my father. My father submitted all the evidence he had collected to the police, including proof of Li Jun embezzling company funds and Lu Hua poisoning my father. Then, my father issued a legal notice through the company's account. The legal notice was brief, stating only that legal action would be taken and that Li Jun and Lu Hua's positions in the company were terminated. As the head of a major company, there was no need to personally engage in a public spat with the other party. After the legal notice was issued, various anonymous netizens began to reveal more of Li Jun and Lu Hua's dark pasts. Not only did it include Li Jun embezzling funds and Lu Hua poisoning, but even incidents from their school days, such as theft and bullying classmates, were exposed. These two individuals not only faced the prospect of imprisonment but also complete social death, with their reputations utterly destroyed from the inside out. Since my father had collected substantial evidence, Li Jun and Lu Huafeng's attempts to argue their way out were futile. Their refusal to admit guilt resulted in the maximum sentence allowed by law. After the verdict was handed down, I spent money to hire Li Jun's former mistresses, Mistress 3, 4, and 5, to take turns visiting Lu Huafeng and recounting in detail their sweet moments with Li Jun. It was only then that Lu Huafeng realized she had been deceived by Li Jun. When she thought about how she was now in prison, largely because of Li Jun, and that he had never truly cared for her, she felt she was the biggest fool of all. In that moment, she completely lost her mind. Yes, she truly went mad. Of course, whether she was truly insane or not, she would spend the rest of her life in an asylum. In comparison, her fate was still much better than Li Jun's. Li Jun received a heavier sentence than Lu Huafeng because he was the mastermind. Even if he behaved well in prison, by the time he was released, he would be an old man, and his life would be over. As for me, having experienced everything from my previous life, I was well aware that only by becoming truly strong could I live without worry. Therefore, I Changed my previous lazy attitude and began to seriously learn from my father how to manage the company, determined to develop it even further. After hearing the second story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. After being bound by my roommate's word spirit system, my roommate joked, "You're so beautiful. I'm so ugly, how about you give me your beauty?" After being complimented, I felt a bit happy. "Alright then, I'll give you my beauty," my roommate continued. "Your boyfriend is so handsome, it'd be great if he became mine." I smiled faintly. "If you like it, take it," my roommate persisted relentlessly. "Your family is so wealthy. It would be perfect if I could become a rich young lady like you." I found it odd but still nodded politely. "Alright then, I'll give you my identity as a rich young lady too." Little did I know, 3 months later, everything I had said came true. I became short and fat, while my roommate turned incredibly beautiful. My boyfriend also left me and fell into my roommate's arms. Finally, my family went bankrupt, my parents died in a car accident, and my roommate transformed into a wealthy woman, living in a mansion and driving luxury cars. In despair, I sensed something was wrong and confronted my roommate. She sneered mockingly, "Fool, daring to agree to anything. Have you ever heard of words becoming reality? What you promised me must come true." Hee hee. Upon learning the truth, I was driven to madness with rage, grabbing a knife to end both our lives, only to be overpowered by her and her boyfriend, then locked in the basement to starve to death. I was so angry I was reborn. When I opened my eyes again, I was back at the moment my roommate asked for my beauty. This time, I can give away my boyfriend, my wounds, even my weight. But you'll never lay a finger on my beauty or wealth. Right now, my roommate Sarah's slightly tanned face wore a simple, unadorned smile. "Lisa, don't stand on ceremony with me. I'm from the countryside. I've been doing manual work since I was little. You look like a pampered young lady from a wealthy family. From now on, leave all the heavy and dirty work to me." With that, she ignored me and started making my bed. Watching her back, I felt a deep, seething hatred. In my previous life, it was just like this. Touched by her sincerity and finding it hard to decline her kindness, I didn't want to let her enthusiasm go to waste, so I agreed to let her help me make the bed. At the same time, I developed a strong liking for her. However, after she finished helping me, she asked me 2 questions in a row. She said she wanted my beauty, my status as a wealthy heiress. I thought Sarah was joking, so I casually told her she could have it all. Little did I know, every word I said to her would come true. From that day on, my tall, fair-skinned, and beautiful self began to grow fatter and darker with each passing day. I was utterly panicked and rushed to the hospital, but no cause could be found. Yet Sarah grew more beautiful day by day. I even saw a shadow of my former self in her face. Because I became ugly, my childhood sweetheart boyfriend began to despise me. By chance, I saw Sarah and immediately started showering her with attention. I couldn't take it anymore and told my boyfriend to go ahead and give himself to Sarah. Soon enough, they became an inseparable pair, handsome guy and a beautiful girl. They looked like a match made in heaven, and I became a complete clown. I grew increasingly insecure, muddling through without understanding what was happening. Soon, the family business ran into trouble and went bankrupt at lightning speed. To make matters worse, my parents were killed in a car accident. Overwhelmed with agony, I recalled how Sarah had asked for my beauty, identity, and boyfriend. The more I thought about it, the more suspicious it seemed. I confronted Sarah and asked if she was behind this. By then, Sarah was already driving luxury cars and living in a villa. With a smug expression, she nodded in admission and mocked me mercilessly. "You fool, daring to agree to anything. Have you ever heard of words becoming reality? This world isn't as simple as you think. What you promised me must come true." Upon learning the truth, I was so furious that my lungs nearly exploded, and I grabbed a knife, ready to perish together with her. Unfortunately, my ex-boyfriend arrived just in time. Tall and strong, I was no match for him at all. "You're as ugly as an African black pig now. How dare you harm my precious Sarah? You must be tired of living." After that, the 2 of them locked me in the basement. I starved to death in a pitch-black environment. Fortunately, I was reborn. I suspect she has some kind of ability similar to verbal magic, so I must never agree to anything she asks. But I also understand one thing: as long as I don't agree to give her anything, I'll be safe. By this time, Sarah had already made my bed. She smiled brightly and said in a joking tone, "I really envy you city girls. You never had to do hard labor growing up, and you're so fair and pretty, not like me, dark and ugly. If only you could give me your beauty." I looked at her eager, excited eyes and let out a cold laugh. Envy all you want. It won't help. Dream on if you think I'd give you my beauty. Sarah's smile froze instantly. Her face filled with shock, looking like someone who got the wrong script. She was lucky. The other two roommates, who had remained silent until then, spoke up to help her out. Lucy, a cheerful girl, smiled and said to me, Lisa, Sarah was obviously joking, don't take it to heart. The other roommate, Kathy, who was more aloof, added, Lisa, someone just helped you out, and this is how you talk to them. That's not how you treat people. Sarah asked for your beauty, but even if you casually agreed, could you actually give it away? That really hits the nail on the head. If I agreed, I really could give it away. Clearly, my words gave these two a bad impression of me, but I couldn't care less. In my past life, after I became ugly, they joined Sarah in ostracizing and bullying me countless times. I have no reason to consider their feelings now. Sarah snapped out of it and forced a laugh. Lisa, look at you, taking things so seriously. We country folks speak bluntly, but we were actually complimenting your beauty. But that being said, I'll help you with your work, and you can comfort me with words. Then we'll be even. Since you're so beautiful, why not just give me all your good looks? Okay, bitch. Still not giving up, still trying to manipulate me with words. Looking at her hypocritical face, a surge of hatred rose within me, yet I flashed a big smile and blurted out under her expectant gaze, no, ha ha ha. Instantly, Sarah's face turned completely dark, but I can treat you to a meal as a thank you. Hearing this, Kathy and Lucy, who had been glaring at me, couldn't say anything more. Thank you. Sarah looked disheveled and frustrated, but there was nothing she could do. Seeing this, I quickly smiled and said, by the way, my boyfriend is here too. He's really handsome, and so are his friends. Maybe he can even introduce you to a boyfriend. As soon as the words fell, she nodded in pleasant surprise. Okay, thank you. Seeing her eyes rolling around, I knew exactly what she was plotting. I sneered inwardly. Beauty and property can't be given away, but a boyfriend can. I hope you seize the opportunity. Of course, I believe Sarah won't miss it. I walked into the restaurant with Sarah. From a distance, I saw my boyfriend Carl waving at me. When he noticed me, his handsome face was filled with a charming smile. However, as soon as he spotted Sarah beside me, a clear look of disgust appeared between his brows. No way. At this time, Sarah was dressed in a tacky style, with an average appearance and dark skin. Men with high standards would hardly take a second look at her. When Sarah saw Carl, her eyes were filled with infatuation, acting like a lovesick fool, making him extremely uncomfortable. Lisa, who is this? Didn't I say I wanted to have dinner alone with you? Why did you bring her along? Carl's snobbery was written all over his face. I sneered inwardly. In my past life, why didn't I notice my boyfriend's true nature earlier? I was truly blinded by his appearance. In that previous life, after I agreed to give my beauty to Sarah, I grew uglier day by day. Back then, Carl openly despised me. Every time we walked together, he would stay far away, afraid that others might notice our relationship. Later, he accidentally saw Sarah, who had grown even more beautiful, and was instantly smitten. He started fawning over her, which infuriated me at the time. Sarah smiled and said, your boyfriend is so handsome, why don't you just give him to me? Furious, I retorted in frustration, if you like him, take him. Soon enough, my words came true again. Carl unilaterally announced our breakup and immediately moved on with Sarah without missing a beat. So, as far as my boyfriend Carl was concerned, even if I hadn't agreed to Sarah's request to gift him, that jerk would have left me anyway. Not to mention, he turned out to be one of the main culprits who ultimately got me killed. So, this boyfriend has to be sent away. I looked at my boyfriend and said, Sarah helped me with some work today, so I treated her to a meal. Sarah is really nice. You're not allowed to bully her. Carl had no choice but to put up with Sarah being the third wheel. The entire meal left Carl feeling extremely uncomfortable, because Sarah was giving him seductive looks the entire time. It made him nauseous and completely killed his appetite. He barely finished half his meal before making an excuse to flee in panic. To be honest, I didn't have much appetite either, because I noticed Sarah has body odor, and it's making me uncomfortable. Wow, Lisa, your boyfriend is so handsome, just like that TV star. I wish I had such a good-looking boyfriend too, Sarah gushed, still staring dreamily at Carl's retreating figure. At the same time, her eyes kept darting toward me, as if waiting for my response. I curled my red lips and gave her exactly the answer she was hoping for. He's just all show and no substance. I don't care about him. If you like him, I'll give him to you. At these words, Sarah got excited. her body trembling with emotion. She grabbed me and smiled meaningfully, saying, "Well, thank you so much." Then, I just smiled even more brightly and repeatedly said it was no trouble at all. The next day, early in the morning, the dormitory building was already buzzing with noise. "Wow, come quick, someone's confessing their love on the first day of school." Lucy called us out to take a look. My gaze was peculiar, and I had a guess in my heart. Sarah was acting extremely excited, as if she was about to welcome some highlight moment. She pulled me to the balcony in one go. "Lisa, let's go take a look." When I saw Carl holding a bouquet of flowers, a wave of fear washed over me. I understood that his confession wasn't meant for me. Can't help but marvel at how terrifying Sarah's verbal magic truly is. "Wow, Lisa, it's your boyfriend Carl. On the very first day of school, he's declaring you're taken to prevent other guys from pursuing you. He really loves you so much." Sarah's voice was loud, drawing everyone's attention, making Lucy and Kathy both glance at me with envy. Students from other dorms also turned to look our way. After all, Carl had an extremely attractive appearance, fair skin, long legs, handsome and charismatic. This type was still incredibly appealing to girls. Faced with everyone's gazes, I remained noncommittal and silent. I knew the real show was about to begin. The next moment, Carl looked in our direction and raised the bouquet of flowers high. "I love you, Sarah." Instantly, the entire girls' dormitory was in an uproar. "Wow, who is Sarah? She's so lucky to get confessed to on the very first day. I bet she must be a stunning beauty to deserve such a handsome guy." Of course, a handsome guy's taste definitely won't be bad. While others were discussing, only Lucy and Kathy from our dorm were dumbfounded. They stared at Sarah with looks of utter disbelief. They prided themselves on not being as good-looking as me, but they certainly didn't think they were worse than Sarah. "And this handsome guy is actually my boyfriend. Why is he suddenly chasing after Sarah? Has he gone blind or something?" They were completely dumbfounded. Only Sarah was flushed with excitement, looking at me with an apologetic face. "Lisa, I really don't know anything. Did your boyfriend get the name wrong? I only met him once yesterday. How could he just," looking at her acting all innocent and fake. I really wanted to slap her, but I managed to hold back. At this moment, Carl continued speaking. "Sarah, ever since I saw you yesterday, I couldn't sleep at all. My mind is completely filled with thoughts of you. I love you, Sarah. Please accept my pursuit. Come down and be my girlfriend. If you don't come, I won't leave." Lucy could no longer hold back, her gaze shifting back and forth between me and Sarah. "No way." Kathy was also dumbfounded and speechless. Sarah grabbed my hand, looking like she was about to cry from anxiety. "Lisa, I really don't know what happened. I'm sorry. I didn't expect him to fall in love with me at first sight either. You have to believe me, I had no interest in watching her performance." And said impatiently, "So, are you going or not?" Sarah gritted her teeth. "I'm sorry, but I still have to go. The truth is, I fell in love with Carl at first sight too." "Lisa, don't be too upset. Love really can't be forced." Unfortunately, to her disappointment, she couldn't find any trace of sadness on my face. I raised an eyebrow and smiled. "Then you'd better hurry. Don't keep your sweetheart waiting." My reaction made Sarah somewhat uncomfortable, but she was convinced I was just pretending. "Lisa, take care." With that, she hurriedly ran out the door. Lucy and Kathy looked at me with strange expressions, hesitating to speak. I chuckled and said, "Never thought I'd be the one to have a change of heart." Seeing how indifferent I was, they were left speechless and looked down at Carl as if he were an idiot. Pretty girls are out, ugly girls are in. What, have guys' standards changed these days? They were genuinely curious. When everyone saw Sarah appear, the room fell silent. After seeing Carl kneel down to confess his love to Sarah, my mind went completely blank. In the end, watching the two of them embrace tightly, everyone felt a wave of indescribable emotions, like 10,000 alpacas galloping through their hearts, because Carl is a towering 1.8 meters tall, while Sarah barely reaches 1.5 meters. The visual contrast was absolutely staggering. 3 words, not harmonious. Suddenly, Carl let out a shout. "Damn, Sarah, do you have body odor?" I'm about to pass out, under everyone's gaze. Sarah's face burned with embarrassment. "I'll go to the hospital tomorrow to get it checked." "Fine, who am I to refuse since I love you?" Carl responded with a pained expression, his face twitching. The next second, ha ha ha, their conversation wasn't quiet, and the room erupted in uproarious laughter, when Lucy, with her big mouth, spread the news that I was Carl's ex-girlfriend. Carl's reputation was completely ruined. A girlfriend who's both wealthy and beautiful, yet he chooses to abandon her for Sarah. dark-skinned, unattractive, and with body odor. Everyone thinks he's out of his mind. At the same time, his fickle behavior solidifies his reputation as a scumbag, and no one wants anything to do with him. That night, Sarah didn't return home until dawn. When she finally came back, she was glowing with satisfaction. "Lisa, Carl and I are in love. I feel like we're tied together by the red string of fate, destined to be a perfect match. Please don't take it to heart." He said he loves my simplicity, my diligence, and my resilience. What's more, he doesn't care about my looks or family background. I'm truly so happy. Of course, I'm curious about one thing. If I said I'd give your boyfriend back to you, would you be willing to trade your beauty for my diligent and simple qualities? Damn bitch, still up to no good, trying to play me again, being always wary of her. Of course I wouldn't fall for it. The moment I said, "I agree," I'd immediately turn into an ugly woman that everyone detests. I took a step back, covering my nose. Hell no, I'd rather have the most beautiful face, lie in bed doing nothing while waiting to die, and stay single forever than become ugly. I'd rather die alone than lose my looks. Lucy burst into laughter, echoing my words. I'd choose beauty too. Who needs character anyway? Kathy didn't speak but nodded deeply in agreement. Sarah watched my movements, her anger visibly rising, and upon hearing the words from the three of us, her eyes turned crimson with urgency. What's the use of being pretty? Your boyfriend still chose me." She seemed to think of something and then smiled. "Lisa, I know you must be heartbroken after losing your boyfriend, but there's no need to degrade yourself with such angry words. I know you're very wealthy. If you could use your fortune to win your boyfriend back, I'm sure you'd be willing, right?" How could I have fallen into her verbal trap? I spat out. "This young lady does indeed have money. I could take that money to a club and hire a few male models to have fun with. One's 100 times more handsome than Carl. Wouldn't that be much better?" With those words, I left Sarah speechless, and she stormed out, slamming the door. From that day on, my life isn't as miserable as it was in my past life. Beauty, wealth, and my parents doting. I have them all. Everything is going perfectly smoothly. Sarah keeps trying to set traps for me from time to time, but I never fell for it, always retorting sharply and leaving her fuming, helpless. She could only temporarily shift her focus to Carl, sticking to him like glue every day, terrified that her handsome boyfriend might be snatched away. That day, as I returned from shopping, I was stopped right in my tracks. Looking closely, it was none other than Carl. His expression carried an indescribable struggle. "Lisa, I think I'm bewitched. My mind is filled with Sarah's image. Every moment, it's all her, but deep down, I don't seem to like her at all. In fact, I even loathe her intensely. The one I've always loved is you. Lisa, can you help me? There must be something wrong with her. It's like she's a demon controlling me. It's too painful." By the end, his face twisted into something almost grotesque, brimming with a near hysterical agitation. "I have to say, Carl's current state is exactly what I wanted, and it brings me immense satisfaction. He simply doesn't like Sarah's current appearance. If Sarah were to steal my looks, he'd probably be overjoyed." I caught a whiff of the strange scent on him, Sarah's scent, and instinctively took a step back, my eyes cold as knives. "Stop talking nonsense here. I don't understand a word of it. You're Sarah's boyfriend now, so stay away from me." My actions and expression clearly deeply provoked Carl. His face flushed with shame and anger as he glared at me with hatred. "Lisa, we've had over a decade of friendship. Now that I'm in trouble and asking for your help, you're being so heartless. I must have misjudged you all along." I could only laugh bitterly. In my past life, he could even take my life without hesitation. Now he's talking to me about being heartless. How laughable. "What are you all doing?" A piercing scream rang out. Sarah rushed over like the wind, standing between Carl and me like a mother hen protecting her chicks, eyeing me with wariness. "Lisa, I never thought you'd be this kind of person. You're my roommate, and now you're trying to steal my boyfriend. Have you no shame?" I scoffed coldly. "Seems you've forgotten. This scumbag was originally my boyfriend. I didn't say a word when you stole him from me, you." Sarah was furious but had no words to retort. I proudly displayed the handful of luxury shopping bags in my hands, brimming with satisfaction. I just got back from shopping when he blocked my way, saying he still loves me. Sarah gazed enviously at the luxury goods in my hands, her eyes filled with jealousy and resentment. Hearing Carl declare his love for me, she gritted her teeth in anger and turned to glare at him fiercely. Carl turned pale with fear, pointing at me. "She's lying. You're the one I love most. She's not even fit to hold a candle to you, but you're really so ugly. Wah, Giggle. His last sentence made me burst out laughing. Sarah, furious and humiliated, dragged Carl away by force. I watched the two figures walking away, once again realizing the terrifying power of Sarah's quasi-verbal magic. It could completely control a person's emotions, no matter how unwilling Carl was. He could only love her. In this contradiction, he struggled helplessly. As long as Sarah made herself beautiful, Carl would undoubtedly be devoted to her. Watching the two of them walk toward the distant grove, a thought crossed my mind, and I quietly followed them. What? You're saying you have a verbal spell system where if Lisa personally says she's giving something to you, it will come true. So, you mean Lisa once said she was giving her boyfriend to you, which is why I'm completely under your control, helplessly in love with you. Carl heard Sarah's explanation and said with some disbelief, hiding in the shadows. My pupils dilated as I finally learned the truth. I dared not make a sound and continued to listen. Over there, Sarah nodded, stroking Carl's face with infatuation. Yes, brother Carl, I love you so much. Please don't dislike me, okay? I'll work hard to cure my body odor, try to become more beautiful, and make myself worthy of you. Carl suppressed his disgust. Then hurry up already, Sarah quickly replied. I want to, but Lisa seems to have caught on. Every time I set a trap for her, she doesn't fall for it. I really don't know what to do now. Carl was exasperated. Do you have to fixate on Lisa? There are plenty of rich and attractive people at school. Just pick someone else. Sarah gave a bitter smile. On the first day of school, I bound the system to her. It can't be changed. Otherwise I wouldn't have dragged it out this long. I couldn't help but sneer after hearing that. No wonder they kept targeting me alone. Exactly. If they could switch targets, they would have done so long ago. They wouldn't still be stuck with an ugly face like this. Upon learning the truth, Carl's hatred for me reached its peak. He resented me for sending him to Sarah, and every day was torment. Sarah's repulsiveness and the classmates' mockery made his life unbearable. Driven by hatred, Carl suddenly spoke up. If gentle methods don't work, why don't you try force? A glint flashed in Sarah's eyes. What do you mean? Capture her, force her to say it, make her give you her beauty, make her hand over her family background too. Would that work? Carl said with a vicious glint in his eyes. Sarah immediately grew excited, nodding eagerly. It would, as long as she says it herself. The system can strip her of everything and transfer it all to me. I want her beauty. I want her family fortune. Carl, do you have a way to help me, if we succeed? What's mine will be yours. Upon hearing this, Carl's breathing quickened, and then he broke into a wide grin, pulling Sarah into a tight embrace. Sarah, my dear, why didn't you mention such a good thing earlier? Do you know how wealthy Lisa's family is? Their fortune is at least $1 billion. Although we grew up together, our family backgrounds were worlds apart. Our fathers knew each other from a young age and were like brothers in hardship. But my father later achieved great success, while his father remained unsuccessful. My father is sentimental and keeps frequent contact with his family, so, you could say we were childhood friends by circumstance. Sarah was overjoyed. Carl, you have a solution. Carl's face twisted fiercely. It's simple. We kidnap Lisa and beat the truth out of her. You must become rich. You know how much my quality of life has declined since I got together with you. Sarah forced an awkward smile and clenched her fists. We will definitely succeed. Overcome by emotion, she grabbed Carl's head and kissed him, suppressing the pain in his heart. Carl responded with deep affection. What a disgusting pair of scumbags. In the past, I always thought giving Carl to Sarah would be torture for him, but now, looking at them, they're truly a match made in heaven. Equally cunning, equally vicious. I left without batting an eye. They wanted to kidnap me, but I didn't care. At most, they were setting some trap for me to fall into, but it seemed there was something more interesting. Since Sarah has bound herself to me, aside from beauty and wealth, I can give other things too. Why not give it a try? I took out a small pair of scissors from my bag. Closing my eyes and gritting my teeth, I made a deep cut across my palm. Blood flowed out, the pain unbearable. Sarah, I want to give you my wound. The next second, from the small grove in the distance came Sarah's scream. It hurts, my hand. Why is it bleeding? And the wound on my palm had already vanished. At that moment, I burst into laughter. Revenge is within reach. The next day, my mom was hit by a car. Carl appeared before me with an eerie urgency. I know it's coming. I pretended to frown. Then why aren't you hurrying home? What are you coming to find me for? Che, your family has a branch here, right? Borrow one and take turns driving back with me. I'm afraid I can't handle it alone. It's too late now. And I can't get a ticket for the high-speed train. I want to rush back overnight. Please, Lisa. Help me, you know how much my mom likes you. I took out my phone. Alright, then I'll ask my dad first and have him check on your mom. We can head back after that. It won't be too late. Carl immediately found an excuse and fled in panic. These two idiots can't even come up with a decent excuse. I don't want to play their game of being kidnapped by falling into their trap. In my past life, I had suffered enough. In this life, I refused to suffer even the slightest grievance. I contacted my family and arranged for 2 bodyguards to come and protect me in secret. With safety assured, I smiled wickedly. Now, this young lady will play with you properly. From this day onward, I no longer restrict my diet. Durian, hot pot, seafood, all kinds of exotic delicacies. I indulge in them all, eating however I please. Eat whatever you want. That feels so damn good. Stepped on the scale this morning. Gained 2 pounds. I silently murmured, Sarah, I'm willing to give you the extra 2 pounds of flesh on my body. Instantly, the scale showed 2 pounds less. Meanwhile, the oblivious Sarah seemed to have gained some weight on her face. I wasn't satisfied, so I came up with a plan to kill 3 birds with 1 stone. I spent a fortune ordering a bunch of expensive takeout and quietly brought it back to the dorm. Boston lobster, wild yellow croaker, tuna sashimi. Wow, Lisa, you're really splurging, Lucy said, eyeing the lavish spread of food while swallowing hard. Kathy and Sarah were no exception. Their eyes filled with anticipation. I clapped my hands. Come on, don't be shy, hurry up and eat. The 3 of them immediately rushed over, ready to dig in. Wait a minute, Sarah, I didn't call you. Sarah's face immediately darkened. Lisa, what do you mean by that? Lucy, unable to resist the sight of delicious food any longer, said, don't you know what you've done? Stealing someone else's boyfriend. Do you even have the nerve to eat? Kathy nodded in firm agreement. Sarah was so angry she couldn't speak, could only watch helplessly as the 3 of us devoured the food, while she drooled on the side. So delicious, so tasty, I've never eaten anything this good in my life. Lisa, thank you, Lucy said, clutching her stomach with a satisfied expression. Kathy was also enjoying the meal, looking at me gratefully. I waved my hand. Tasty, right, we'll do it again tomorrow. Wow, that's great. Lucy and Kathy were overjoyed. Meanwhile, Sarah on the other side could only run away with a dark expression. No surprise, she went to Carl again to plot kidnapping me. However, as long as I don't take the bait and with the protection of bodyguards, they have no way to kidnap me. The following month, I ordered every delicious food around the school and took Lucy and Kathy to feast every day. The 2 of them visibly gained a lot of weight, and my figure remains unchanged. They seem to have noticed changes in their own figures. I laughed and said, if you're getting fat, you can stop eating. Your figure is what matters most. At first, the 2 of them managed to hold back, but upon seeing me eat until my mouth was dripping with oil, they couldn't resist any longer and rushed over to indulge themselves once again. 1 month later, Kathy and Lucy gained a full 20 to 30 pounds, becoming veritable chubby girls. Of course, the most bizarre case was Sarah. Despite not eating a single bite, her weight reached 160 pounds. Her thighs were thicker than my waist. You should know, she's only about 5 feet tall. Her eyes were squeezed into slits by fat, and she'd be panting and dripping with sweat after just a few steps. Every time she stood next to Carl, it would provoke roaring laughter, making Carl increasingly embarrassed, so much so that he wished he could strangle Sarah, but instead, he'd end up hugging her and whispering sweet nothings. Sarah, don't care about what others think, I love you so much, woo-woo. The 2 of them became the talk of the school once again. Finally, Lisa, am I this fat because of you? Sarah came to find me. I put on an innocent face and sneered, what does your weight have to do with me? You must have been sneaking food in secret. If you ask me, you should just control your own mouth. Sarah looked at me with suspicion but couldn't say anything. After all, she couldn't just blurt out her suspicion that I might have discovered the system. How come you don't gain weight no matter what you eat? I was born with good genes. You can't envy your way into that. At this point, Kathy and Lucy switched sides, standing with Sarah as they glared at me with resentment. They had both been dumped by their boyfriends for being too overweight. Only then did I realize it was my trap. Lucy, Lisa, you're truly sinister. Kathy, Lisa, you deserve to die horribly. Me, oh wow, still complaining after getting the advantage. That's right, this is my revenge on these 2, after how they excluded and bullied me in my past life. Making them gain a few extra pounds is fair enough. Interestingly, the 2 who were determined to lose weight didn't succeed. Instead, they drifted further and further down the path of getting fatter, until by graduation they were still the fat losers everyone talked about. 1 month later, Sarah, now weighing over 200 pounds, knelt before me with her flabby body, sobbing uncontrollably, tears and snot streaming down her face. Lisa, I was wrong, please let me go, stop transferring your weight to me, woo-woo, if this goes on, I'll die. I looked at the human-shaped mountain of flesh before me without a shred of pity and laughed. What did you do wrong? Sarah wanted to kowtow, but she couldn't bend her waist no matter how hard she tried. The truth was already painfully obvious. If she still couldn't guess that I'd discovered the system, then she'd be truly stupid. I was wrong to bind you with the verbal spell system, wrong to covet your beauty, your family background, and your boyfriend. I'll give Carl back to you, okay? Just let me go, I'm in so much pain. Looking down at her with disdain, I sneered, what a disgusting African swine. As for trash like Carl, you can keep him for yourself. After hurling those words, I turned and walked away without another glance. Sarah ended up being hospitalized because of me. Under the system's control, Carl contributed both money and effort, providing round-the-clock care. Within just a few days, news came that Sarah had dropped out of school, and Carl, who deeply loved her, withdrew as well, making people admire his loyalty and devotion. After Sarah's successful surgery, she lost a significant amount of weight. She kept begging me to stop eating. This time, I agreed to her request, because if she died now, it wouldn't be fun anymore. Carl followed Sarah back to her rural hometown and became her personal male nanny. He even went as far as breaking ties with his family for Sarah's sake, leaving my parents speechless and sighing whenever they called. During the day, Carl had to work in the fields while also taking care of Sarah, who was so overweight she could barely walk, making his life miserable. Sarah simply couldn't lose weight, because I would occasionally contribute to her weight gain. The first holiday, Carl appeared at my doorstep. His face was weathered, covered in wrinkles. Gone was the charm of the once fair-skinned youth. Please, eat more, get fatter, then transfer all your weight to Sarah at once. Just eat her to death, and I'll finally be free. I said with utter seriousness, you bastard, she's your beloved. How could you say such things? Are you some kind of beast? Then, I had the bodyguards throw him out, and so, Carl and Sarah stayed together, muddling through 10 years in a daze. Sarah couldn't take it anymore and took her own life first. Carl laughed maniacally, shouting that he was finally free, but the next moment, uncontrollably, he picked up a knife, yelling, Sarah, I love you, I'm coming to be with you, and plunged it into his own heart. Turns out, the love the system forced upon him was called, till death do us part. After hearing the stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.